I want you to be called nice stuff. Here, put this on while you're at it, so we can hear you. There we go. Okay. Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Jonathan Harmon with the J. Harmon Home Team with my new friend Abdou Kattih. And we've been sitting here. Abdou just finished his breakfast, and I actually stared at it and smelled it longingly. It looked delicious. So we're here at Just Love Coffee at the Fountains. I love this patio area.
I do.
Don't you?
I do. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. We were here 3 weeks ago with my dad and mom, and it was fun.
Very good. Yeah, it's awesome. And of course, the coffee is always delicious. But I got to meet Abdou through Bobby Turman, the Hungry Hippie.
Yeah.
And Bobby said, a lot like me, he does the whole connecting thing, right? He says, you really should meet whoever, right? And he's like, he told me one day, he goes, you need to meet my friend Abdou. And I said, yes, I believe I do. So
we did.
And so we had coffee a few weeks ago and set this up. And you guys, your organization is hosting an event coming up. So why don't you start and tell us about your organization first. Okay. And then kind of the backstory of the upcoming event, and then what's going on at this upcoming event.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, glad you're here.
It's good connecting with you. The organization name is Murfreesboro Muslim Youth. It was established about roughly 5 years ago. It was actually established as a response to two things: the crosses with the Islamic Center of Murfreesboro. I was in the board of directors when that was erected, and that was part of the outcome of that. In addition, it was a direct outcome of the Chapel Hill murder in North Carolina. If you're familiar with it, I was directly connected to that family and the Diaz family in particular. So that was kind of an outcome of these two events that kind of shaped my life and my understanding of relationships. Regarding this upcoming event, it's on the 27th of October. It's Love Your Neighbor. Love Your Neighbor started about 3.5 years ago, 4 years ago actually, closer to 4. About 4 years ago, there was an armed protest planned in several locations across the country, one of which was planned in front of the Islamic Center of Murfreesboro, here in Murfreesboro. And there was a group of pastors, compassionates, community members who had a forum on Facebook, if I remember correctly, some sort of an online forum, and they were discussing ways to respond and ways to face hate. And the main notion at the time was to go there, stand across the street, and shout at each other, which for me it was an absurd way to respond because it highlights hate.
Yeah.
It makes you an anti-hate. We're not anti-hate, we're for love. And
right.
There's a difference.
There's a huge difference.
So I would like, let's host a Love Your Neighbor picnic away from them, somewhere far away that would take that tension from them and bring people who are truly for love to the place that would claim who we are rather than what we're against. And me and my friend Jason Bennett from the Murfreesboro Coal Patrol were like, let's do this. So we booked a pavilion at Barfield Park, and we announced it the same day and time as the hate rally for the armed protest. And we went there, and I remember it was kind of funny. He brought some coffee, I brought some plates and napkins and tissues and whatnot. And about 20 minutes into it, we're sitting there, we looked at each other like, we need more plates and more coffee. And people just kept coming.
That's
and
great.
We probably have a few hundred people showing up that day with all kind of food, and it became a tradition. We do that 3 times a year. It's got no speeches, no agenda, just people meeting people, joining each other,
sharing a meal together,
sharing food, sharing laugh, games, smiles. Then about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, we all heard about the League of the South planning an anti-immigrant rally downtown Murfreesboro. It was a very similar situation, except it was more intense because of Charlottesville and Heather Hay murder. And it was a similar meeting. I called for this meeting. We met at a restaurant here with about 20 activists in Murfreesboro, and we were like, how do we respond to this? And there were several ideas to go downtown, which was a strong idea to go downtown, cross the street, face them, which is important, which is needed sometimes, and I understand that, but I don't think that's who we are again. So same thing, let's do something different. Let's do something that will show Murfreesboro as a loving community, as a caring community. And we decided to hold a rally at the main entrances to our town that would haters will be coming in, so they will see us when they're coming in, that the community will see us. And Murfreesboro Loves was born that night.
It was beautiful.
It took heat, it was quick. We had a lot of participants. For me, the highlight of the event during the preparation, on the supporters list, we had Baptist churches, LGBTA groups, the Islamic Center, liberals, conservative, atheists, Christians, Muslims, everybody was there.
What you had is Murfreesboro community members.
We had a community. We had a community coming together for a common cause, which was love.
Yeah, and to tell them, this is not us, buddy.
This is not us.
Yeah, you can hang out with us. If you
Yeah,
shut
they're
up.
welcome. Absolutely. Everybody is welcome. The hate is part of the community, but it is not the community, and it doesn't define what it is.
That's right.
It's an anomaly. It's not the normal.
Right.
This is what's normal.
Yeah.
So Murfreesboro Loves was born. Most of you know the details of that. We gathered at Barfield. We split to two groups. One to Old Fort Parkway. One stayed at the Church Street entrance of the town. We stayed there for a few hours.
And they never showed.
And they never showed up. Well, about 6 people did downtown Murfreesboro.
Right. It was a ghost town otherwise.
So it was a ghost
police
town.
and those 6 people.
And I remember that day in the evening, we were talking about how the businesses downtown took a hit. And we were like, well, let's host next Sunday as a day where everybody goes shop downtown Murfreesboro. And hundreds of people showed up that
packed.
day. It's just, this is what community is about, just showing support to each other.
Bless you.
Love has to walk around people. Faith has to have legs. You can't just claim faith at church. It's good, it's beautiful for you. Faith, the acts of worship in faith are selfish. Selfish is just for you.
Right.
But faith is not for you, it's for everybody else. To show, to live, to manifest, to reflect. You have to make a decision. Are you going to be the sun or the moon? Are you going to reflect the light? Or are you going to produce that light? What are you going to be?
Yeah.
Or are you going to just sit there and enjoy it?
Right.
Which one are you? Most people decide that we're going to just sit there and enjoy the light.
Right. Or even worse, sit there and complain about it.
Yeah. Well,
we have some of those too.
that's abnormal. That's where Murfreesboro Loves was born. Everybody knows what happens afterward. The 27th of October actually is the 2 years anniversary of that. Mm-hmm. So one of the questions that comes in Love Your Neighbor every time, like the same question you asked me when we first met. You remember, what did you ask me? Where are you from?
Yeah.
That was your first question. So that's a good question. Where are you from?
Sure.
But how about more? How about more than where you're from? Maybe what brought you here? Maybe what is it like to live where you're at? Well, where is Syria at? Or how many people live there? What faith do you practice? What language do you speak? We need more, because the more you know about me, the less likely you're going to hate me.
Yeah.
And that's when we thought, well, let's create something more. So let's bring Lovely Neighbor to Downtown Square. And let's create stations that has countries represented in each station that form our community. A heritage, an ethnicity, a group that form our community.
Well, you know, my kids are in elementary school right now, and they always talk about America as a melting pot, right? Like you hear that term all the time, right? And anymore, it seems like we've kind of lost that identity as a melting pot, and realized that it is a sum made up of a bunch of parts,
yep.
Right? And so when we first met, you told me that you had, I think it was 11 countries,
yeah.
And you said your goal was 20, and you are now sitting at
24, 25 roughly.
24 to 25 different countries, different cultures, different groups that are going to be on the square.
Right.
And what's the goal? What is this event about?
Building bridges, creating better understanding, showing diversity, living it, walking among diverse community.
Mm-hmm. Identify different groups that are all there for the same purpose.
That form who we are, and allowing people
Common
to
history.
ask questions.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I disagree with the fact that we're a melting pot. We're a salad ball.
Ah, okay.
That's what we are. And a salad bowl with one element is just not appealing.
A salad bowl. I like that better than a melting
That's
pot.
what we are as a community. That's what we've always had.
Honestly, I don't like the melting pot restaurant, so I like salad bowl way better.
And I think the more we add to the salad, the more rich it is, the more healthy it is, the more fulfilling it is. And I think we have to embrace that. And I think together what we can show in downtown Murfreesboro, how diverse we are, but how similar we are.
Yeah.
How delicious some food is, and how
We're a Murfreesboro salad made up of 25 countries or more.
more. I wish we can get more.
I'm going to steal that. Is that okay?
That's fine.
Okay.
It's hard to fit more than 25 booths in a downtown square. It's really hard.
Yeah.
It's a small area. But we're hoping to show people that how to connect with each other. We're hoping to break some of the stereotypes that I may have about some countries or about some Southern heritage issues, or some individuals around us may have about certain countries. Allow you to ask questions, tough questions, or easy questions.
Because it's awkward, isn't it? Like, to sit here and for us to have, I mean, we have to have a certain amount of permission and a certain amount of trust with each other to ask some of those questions, right? But if the purpose of the event is to ask those questions, then some of that awkwardness kind of melts away a little bit.
Absolutely.
And now we can talk, because you're here to present and talk about your culture, your background, your food, your mannerisms, whatever it is.
And
right?
I think that's what the whole idea is. And we're gonna have children activities. So I mean, it's nothing for me personally as a father of several kids. There's nothing more beautiful than children from different backgrounds playing together.
Oh, it is. It's awesome, because they don't care.
They don't care
At all.
It's just give them that chart and let them draw something, or sit down and have a face painting. And my child says, I want to look like him or like her.
Right.
And then play on the inflatables.
Look, Dad,
together.
I colored myself pink.
Yep.
Or whatever,
And I think that's what, when our kids are raised together around each other, it'd be harder to hate.
I agree with that.
It'd be harder. It's much harder for my neighbor's kid to hate Muslims in the future. Mm-hmm. And it's when someone looks at my child and tell them, "Hey, my neighbor's Afro-American. I love him. We've been neighbors for 15 years." When someone looks at my child and say, "Well, Afro-Americans and this and that," he'll probably punch them in the face.
Yeah. Well, or he'd say, "What?
What?
You've lost your mind.
Yeah,
you're crazy."
So that's what it takes. It takes you to cross that. It takes us to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You have to be uncomfortable. You have to. What we were talking about earlier. If you're a person of faith, every single prophet from Jesus to Muhammad, as we believe, advocated for one thing, primarily social justice.
Yeah.
Advocated for the poor, for the weak, for the needy, for the sick, for the orphan, for the widow. Advocated for those who are less fortunate in the community. And he did not advocate for you to take care of them only. He advocated for you to treat them equally.
Right.
And there's a difference. I don't want you to look at an orphan and feel sorry for them. I want you to feel, how do I empower him to be like me? Mm-hmm. To be
or
equal
better.
to me or better than me?
Right.
How do I empower that widow to live up to the same level I live in? And there's a difference. We as someone that does a lot of community work, it is often that you see people helping the less fortunate out of pity.
Yes. Well, and out of pity perhaps, but I think it's also a means of justifying, how do I say this? It's almost a means of justifying greed. So let me explain what I mean by that. I've been very, very blessed with what I have. I've worked really hard for what I have, and I've done well for myself, right? Mm-hmm. And you have as well. And sometimes I have this, and this is like, I'm being like super vulnerable right now, okay? So it's kind of weird. I'm a little uncomfortable, but that's okay. Sometimes I have this, it's almost like a guilt, right? Like, man, I've really done well for myself, and I have friends that haven't, or whatever, or not as well, right? And so it's almost like paying a penance, right? So like if I go help homeless people, right, then that's sort of like I've given them some of my time and some of my treasure, okay? So I've paid my penance, and now I don't have to feel bad about what I've got. Well, that's really kind of a messed up mindset, isn't it?
Could be, yeah.
I mean, isn't it a better mindset to say, hey, we're all part of the same community. I have this, you don't. Let's help out, right? And you have something that I don't, right? You have perspective, you have story, you have, and that's holding them to the same level as us, right? Whoever the them is, right? So whether it's I'm a Christian, you're a Muslim, and I can help the Muslims out, right? That's really arrogant. Like, really arrogant.
Yeah.
When the reality is, we're all part of Murfreesboro's community, right? And I can give you things, you can give me things, and the next thing you know, it's a better community.
Yeah, I agree. It's just in the other notion from a religious perspective, most religions, if you're truly a religious person, helping others is your own good. It's not, because if you refuse to help others, they're going to still get help.
Right.
It's not dependent on, the word doesn't depend on me and you.
Right.
The word keeps going, and they're going to get the help, and it'll be your loss.
That's right.
And if you're not, like I said a minute ago, if your faith is abbreviated, summarized into your personal acts of worship, then I'm sorry for you.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm really sorry for you.
Well, I don't know that I've ever experienced God, right? Like, had this religious experience just in the auditorium or the sanctuary or that room, right? Most of the times that I've experienced God or felt presence is working hand in hand, working side by side, eating with people, talking with people, learning about people, some amazing perspective, that you present to me or whatever, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa.
This is the pharmacist analogy. It's different. Houses of worship, people treat them in one of two ways. Either it's a place where I can go smoke that cigarette, feel high, and then leave, or a place where I can go fill my tank, and go spend that somewhere.
Right. And I'm more the second.
Right. And this is a choice, and this is the true message of God is not dependent upon the other party's acceptance of your belief. So that's an important thing to remember. Quite often we see in every faith I've dealt with, including the Muslim faith, I'm going to only help Muslims, or I'm going to only help people who are open to listen to the message of Islam. And that's not faith.
Right.
That's not what, that is something you can claim to be faith, but faith is you going out and completely with no stake at all, no benefit for you, no outcome, no recognition, doing what's right.
Yeah.
Being out there doing what's right, and it's hard.
It is, because we like to be patted on the back. We like to be recognized. It feels good to
Absolutely.
do good, right?
Absolutely.
And be recognized for it. But that's not what it's all about, is it?
No, most often no.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
So that's the event. A lot of things we're excited about when the event. I think some of the children activities will be fun. I think we're gonna have awards for the best tent, best booth, and we're gonna have wait for people to vote for the best booth, and they will get gift cards and trophy at the end.
Nice.
So we're looking forward to it.
And it's October 27th.
October 27th.
So Sunday afternoon.
Sunday afternoon.
What time?
We open the doors at 2, and we hope to conclude by sunset.
And what's it cost?
There's no cost.
I'm sorry,
free.
what was that?
It's free.
It's free? How much
Yes.
was that again?
We are gonna have some music, some singers. We are hoping, actually, this is in the work right now. We're hoping that Murfreesboro Square on Sunday afternoon will play about 20 songs in 20 different languages.
Really?
Yeah, on the speakers. So we are hoping to have different songs from every nationality, every ethnicity in there, playing their favorite songs on the speaker system.
So it's October 28th now, right? Dream with me for a second. Yeah. It's October 28th. You're reflecting back on the previous evening after cleanup and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, we're sitting around having a cup of coffee, right? How do you know that it was a successful event?
If you know me well enough, if you worked with me, that doesn't matter to me.
I mean, it's got to matter at least a little.
The real question usually for me as a youth organization, have we done our best?
Okay. So what's your best look like?
Our best meaning going there, having more than enough volunteers, having people standing around not knowing what to do, having every booth organized to the best we can have it organized, have the place spotless clean after we leave, have everything running smooth all day with our kids happy, cheerful, feeling pride yet humbled with what they've achieved. That is the biggest success. Now, if 1,000 people show up, that's even better. If 10 people show up, that's good. It doesn't matter.
What do you think will show up?
I have no earthly idea.
Oh, come on, speculate for me.
Last year we had about 300 to 400 people showing up on the Love Your Neighbor. Our average about 100 to 200. The best we've had maybe 500, 600. So I don't know. I have no idea. I'm hoping to have a lot of people showing up. I hope to run out of food in 2 hours after we start.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Well, I'm very excited about it. I'm actually hosting a client event that afternoon as well, and we bumped our client event back an hour just so I can go spend an hour down on the square. So I'm very excited. The J. Harmon Home Team, we've given you guys a little bit of money for it. We are all about community. That's what we do, right? And it's all community. I flipping love the salad bowl analogy, because in a salad, everybody retains some of their own identity, but it all contributes to the overall salad.
Absolutely.
Right? That's so much better than the melting pot.
Absolutely.
So much better. So I really like that.
We appreciate your support and the support of several other groups and organizations in town. A bunch that came forward supporting.
Yeah.
This event will not have a lot of sponsors.
As
it's not the idea.
Right.
The tents are going to be about the countries, not businesses, not organizations. That's not the purpose of the event. The purpose of the event to highlight the community, to highlight who we are, what we are, and how far we can go together as a community.
Yeah. Well, with leaders like you, I think we're going to be just fine. So.
Well, thanks for the support and an amazing community we've had.
It is. It's a good place to live, and this is just one more example, right?
Yeah,
one
absolutely.
more example of why this place is great to live. I remember the whole thing on the square 2 years ago. Like I remember it well, and I actually had a friend that was a police officer. He was stationed up on top of one of the buildings, kind of being a lookout, so to speak. And he said it was a ghost town. And he said it was just them, just the police basically. He said it was the eeriest thing though, for that square to be that quiet.
Funny story about that day. The day before, our volunteers were supposed to go downtown and put messages of love, like banners and flyers. Yeah. So they got there, and a lot of stores were boarded up. And one of the girls, I don't want to throw a name because I don't know which one of them started it. She starts drawing on the board.
Yeah, I drew on one of them.
And she said within hours, like everybody was doing it. And it turned almost a beautiful display, an awkward, beautiful display of
two
love.
Big sheets of plywood, I remember.
Yeah.
There was one in particular, I think it was at Garage Bar, wasn't it?
It was Garage Bar.
Yeah. And,
that's what started it.
Yeah. So it was completely covered in graffiti. Yeah. But it was all...
It was just people walking by and writing something they care, and there was not a single hate message on there.
Yeah. It was
all
awesome.
About... the same with downtown business communities, like everyone endorsed the movement. They have signs, posters, just supporting that we are about love, we are about unity, we are about diversity. We understand we're different. We understand that we're not the same, but we respect that.
Yeah.
And we respect the
Embrace
outcome of that. We embrace it. We're ready to move on, holding hands together to the next level where we can take our community, we can evolve it to.
It's funny. I tell my kids all the time, they'll bicker with each other, they'll fight or whatever, and I'm like, isn't it more fun when you guys get along? I mean, it's really that simple, isn't it?
Yeah. And even with the kids at home, with my children, even when his head goes into the drywall, which has happened.
Guilty. Sorry, Jeremy. That's my little brother.
There's still that element in there that it's okay. It happens. It's just we're still in here together. There's no running away. There's no escaping. And it's not bad. It's just part of... Sometimes the kids, even in school, they clash. But that's how they get to know each other better.
Yeah.
And a lot of friendships were built after a fight.
Yeah.
A lot of them are built around fight. But I guess it goes back to the basic. You have to overcome your fears of the others. You have to overcome your own, because when you open up to others, you start asking serious questions that you had before you never asked.
Yeah. Well, and that's and you know, really, we talk all the time about pick your ism, right? Racism, sexism, whatever it is, right? It really does come down to people there's a comfort in being around other people that you perceive as the same, right? There's a certain, just an innate human comfort in that. But the reality is we are all individuals as well. And so, you know, even the people that we are the same as, we're not the same as, we're just more similar, right? And what I have found is that the more I reach out to people that I perceive as very different, the more I realize how much more the same I am to people that are different. Did that make any sense?
Yeah.
And
you know, you just reminded me, and this is really awkward, of the Matrix. When all the Matrix turned to that one character who took over the whole world. How boring is that?
right.
How boring is that going to be?
Yeah.
It's like, imagine every single person you meet is exactly like you.
I just started liking you even more because you went super nerdy on me, and that was awesome. That was awesome.
I love that movie.
It's a good one, for sure. So, all right. Well, buddy, I cannot wait until the 27th.
Absolutely.
We'll be posting info and invites and all that kind of thing about the event coming up. And just come out and you know, sample some food, listen to some music, let the kids bounce in the jumpy houses, and you know, I'm trying to convince Abdou to get a henna tattoo.
Well, here's the thing. We told that inflatable company to bring them at 12. So from 12 to 2, it's not for children.
Ah, I see. I got you. That's smart.
That's the plan.
Yeah, that's smart. That's the preview, right?
Yeah, the preview. We get test the equipment.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Quality control.
Yeah. One thing I want to add, though, is for everybody out there, I'm being serious. If you have any fear of coming out, if you have questions, if you have something that you think prevents you from being there, whatever it is, reach out to us.
Yeah.
Tell us why, and tell us how we can make that disappear for you. We want you there. We want you to be with us. We want you are part of us, whether you like it or not. You are part of this community, and we want you to be in the community, no matter what it is that prevents you or making you feel that you don't belong.
Well, and I'll tell you what, here's the one thing I know without a doubt about you, is it is going to be, you can ask just about anything that you want. I'm going to go ahead and say anything that you want.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
with the story that you told me before we started, I have a feeling that you're going to be very difficult to offend.
Yes.
And so there really won't be a stupid question, right?
No, yeah, I mean, not just for me. Ask questions for anybody in there, and if you feel like you're not satisfied with the answer, just ask more. It's just you're having to overcome your fears, and a lot of people who are attending, who are hosting booth, have the same fear. We have individuals who are afraid of being on the square.
Yeah.
We have individuals, ethnicities that declined to be on the square because they're afraid, and it's sad. This is not who we are.
Yeah.
We want everybody to feel comfortable being anywhere in this town that they want to be.
Yep.
Because if any segment of the community is afraid of being out in the open, what does that say about us?
You nail on the head. You're exactly right.
How does that make the children feel? How does that make them, what would that make them become in the future? How would you expect them to be contributing to the community, be part of the community effectively if they were raised around parents who are afraid of being out in the open?
I want to throw one more thing out there. What you just said sparked something. There's a book that I've read fairly recently that I'm not going to share the title because it's fairly inappropriate title. But anyway, one of the main ideas in the book, it talks about the idea of responsibility versus fault, right? And in our culture, in American culture, we tend to equate the two things, right? It's your fault, therefore it's your responsibility, okay? And that's just not true, right? No matter what fault lies in a situation, people that are involved in that situation have a certain responsibility. So if we're driving down the street and I run a red light and I plow into the side of your car, right? You still have a responsibility in there, even though it's absolutely not your fault, right? You have a responsibility not to get out and beat me up. You have a responsibility to report it. You have a responsibility to handle it a certain way. I mean, it was never your fault, but you have a responsibility. So I think that sometimes we tend to think that a culture, an ethnicity, a whatever, you know, it's their own fault that fill in the blank, right? And that happens. I hear that all the time, right? And then add to that, well, you know, your ancestors did this, or your whatevers did this, or people that are sort of like you on the other side of the planet did this, or whatever. So it's your fault, right? And the reality is we all have a responsibility within our community to just get along with each other, right? And learn about each other and accept each other and treat each other like human beings the way we would want to be treated, the whole golden rule thing.
Yeah, I agree.
And it doesn't matter if it's your fault. It's irrelevant, right? And it doesn't matter if it's your third cousin over in some other country that you've never met. It's fault. It's my responsibility to still treat you well.
It's always like the same question. If you do good, you're doing it because you're good or because I'm good? And that's a good question to ask yourself.
Yeah.
If you're doing good to others because they're good to you, are you really a good person?
Right. Are you really even doing good?
Yeah. And the question that really is we go back to the same analogy earlier. Are you going to reflect that light that you think you have? Or are you going to just sit there and enjoy it or judge others who are maybe the person that does not have the light that you think you have doesn't have it because you're blocking it.
That's a good point.
You're in the way.
Yeah.
And maybe that's indirectly your fault, not theirs.
Well, and your question about good, you know, here's kind of a thought on that is maybe the reason that I'm good is because I acknowledge that everybody sitting here has good in them, and it's worthwhile. Right?
It takes a village. It takes a community, and in any given community, if you take that even a step further, Jonathan, is the community is accountable for the outcome of the community.
100%.
And the accountability at your work, at your business, you're accountable for the team.
Yeah.
So if someone does something wrong, a fault, as you call it, the team is responsible, but who's accountable? Who's going to pay for it? It's going to be you.
Yeah.
And that's why you jump in and fix it. If we come to that same realization, if the Muslim kids in Murfreesboro are raised around fear and hate, there will be a negative outcome. That's why we need to have them on the square. That's why I think our kids need to be visible on the square, feeling proud of being who they are, doing good in the community. The same with the LGBTA kids. If they don't have an outlet to present who they are, we're going to have the same outcome. We're going to have kids who have issues in the future. We don't want that because they are our kids. They are our responsibility.
And they're good and they're valuable.
Absolutely. Everybody. You have certain Christian children that I've dealt with that have issues, deep issues that get covered up. The same with some Muslim kids that get covered up. Our community in general as a whole is accountable for the well-being in the community. No one's going to fix our issues. We have to fix our issues. And we can do it better together as a community.
I love it. I agree.
Yeah.
Abdou, this has been awesome, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you so much. And hey, you guys, check out the comments here in just a minute. We'll put the link to the event coming up.
Absolutely.
And I'd love to see you out there.
Yes.
It's going to be a fun event.
Ask questions before, come over, and get to know us.
Yeah, get to know this guy. He's awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, bud.
All right, brother.